The girls in their 30s? This generation of 30-year-olds? I am excited. Y'all keep it up. Y'all keep it up.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, you'll witness how a DNA test can completely destroy a family, bringing to light secrets that many would rather keep hidden. We'll also see a girl who claims that if a man doesn't pay for her nails and haircut, then he's not worth it. We want you to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Our goal is to reach 150,000 subscribers before March, and with your support, we can make it happen. Don't forget to leave us your comments and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Now, let's get started.
Ladies,
Yes?
if he's not offering to pay for your manicure pedicure,
And why exactly should he be paying for that? One's own personal beauty maintenance should be one's own personal responsibility.
really, what is he doing with that money?
Oh, I think I know the answer to this one. He could be paying his bills, paying his rent or his house payment, saving away for his retirement. You know, doing something useful with his money.
Because you deserve your nails done, and he should be paying.
Is anyone else getting the feeling that a lot of these so-called independent women really aren't independent at all?
And if he hasn't gotten the hint by now, just send him this video. Just give him a little sign. A wake-up call.
Well, that'll be quite a wake-up call. Quite a doozy, in fact, I'd imagine. Just imagine getting sent this video, only to realize that you're not actually with someone who wants to be with you because of who you are, but what they can get out of you, sponging off of you so that they can get the things paid for that they want. What a great way to find out that one is not in a great relationship.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
The modern woman, strong and independent, until it's time to pay with her own money. They want to live in complete freedom, but with a man's wallet. That's when you realize why so many are looking for a high-value man, and why so many fail in their attempt to wait for the winner at the finish line. As a man, I've always liked investing in a woman, but investing in experiences where both of us benefit. Now, covering the expenses of a woman who works? That's not my problem. First, you're not my wife for me to do that. Second, if you work, what do you do with your money? Brothers, remember this. Don't give wife treatment to a woman who hasn't earned it.
Hello there, it's Dusty once again with another story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut Forgoing No Contact with Mother-in-Law After She Convinced My Husband to Ask for a Paternity Test Because Our Baby Looks Too Much Like Me? Sorry, this is going to be a long one. Continuing along the same lines, I see. And I apologize in advance for any spelling mistakes. English is not my first language. 4 months ago, me, 31 female, and my husband, Mark, 32 male, welcomed our first child, our daughter, Sophia. Me and Mark have been together for 10 years and married for 6. Getting pregnant wasn't exactly a walk in the park. We were trying for 2 years before it finally happened, and I miscarried 4 times during those years. Damn. My parents died when I was 15, and I lived with my grandparents until I was 18 and started at college. My mother-in-law has been like a mother to me and had been an amazing support ever since me and Mark got together. She made dinners and called daily to check up on me after the miscarriages. When Sophia was born, the first thing mother-in-law did when she came to visit was check up on how I was doing after the birth before focusing on Sophia. I remember thinking I had the best mother-in-law anyone could ask for. She was the first person we told about her pregnancy at week 18, and she was over the moon about becoming a grandma. The first 4 weeks after we got home from the hospital, she moved in with us to help out with Sophia. She was so helpful and always made sure that she didn't overstep in any way. My mother-in-law always talked about how Sophia was a mini version of me and told everybody about how my daughter was a true copy of me. Mark was in love with our little girl and did everything he could to help out. He came home early every day to spend as much time as he could with Sophia and me. Everything seemed perfect. This was what we had wanted for so long. All he could talk about was how perfect our little girl was and how much she looked like me. He even found some old pictures of me and made a photo collage of me and her as babies to put on the wall. After my mother-in-law moved home, I think I saw her a couple of times and would only speak to her if I called her. But to be honest, I didn't think much of it as I was super busy being a mother.
I'm going to share an unpopular opinion, but I've always believed in the saying, a married couple needs their own home. In other words, living alone with your partner. It's one thing for your mother to visit and a completely different thing for her to move into your house. This applies to both sides because, let's be honest, No one wants to live with their mother-in-law. Besides, relationships are already complicated as they are. When a third person enters the home, sides start to form. Privacy is lost, and problems multiply. But let's take a look at where the real issue with Sophia begins.
After the first 2 months, Mark started getting more distant and coming home late. He started to spend a lot of time at his mother's house, as he said she needed help with some renovations in her house. I appreciated all the help mother-in-law had given us, so I decided not to complain about it, even though I was exhausted from never getting an hour to myself anymore. Well, this kid was, before the kid was 3 months old? He's just not coming home to, be with his new kid and help? We're officially in red flag mode for the first time of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. Right after Sophia turned 3 months, Mark came home and said we needed to talk. He sat me down and told me that he wanted to do a paternity test because his mother thinks our child looked too much like me and nothing like him. My jaw was on the floor and I felt something inside me break. He doubled down, saying he agreed with Sophia looking like me and nothing like him, and that mother-in-law had told him I probably cheated with someone who has some of the same features as me. You dumb biznatch. Mother-in-law? The only explanation is that she f***ed herself. Mother-in-law claims that their family genes are super strong, and Sophia should have some of Mark's features if she was his. After she was done talking, I couldn't get a word out. I just started crying. It feels like the biggest betrayal that they both accused me of cheating, and the reason being my daughter looks too much like me. He told me he was sorry, but his mother got into his head and he couldn't let it go, and it was constantly on his mind. I just felt defeated by the whole situation and agreed to the paternity test. Although I told him that when the test came back telling Sophia is his daughter, I wanted nothing to do with mother-in-law. And we would have to start couples counseling if there was any hope at all for this relationship to be saved. Good for you to, in this moment where you are emotionally destroyed, not just by the fact that you just had a child, but the miscarriages leading up to this, emotionally and mentally, psychologically, you had every right to just freeze. And instead, you're like, no, healthy boundary time.
Hey, bro. What? Oh, my God!
As I've said before, you're not oblivious to the times you live in. According to studies, 1 in 3 men who take a DNA test discover they are not the biological father. That means 32% of the men who have doubts end up confirming a case of paternity fraud. In this case, the person requesting the test isn't just anyone. It's his mother. For many men, myself included, she is the most important person in their life. And if someone who saw you being born, who has observed your entire family and your cousins, tells you that the child looks nothing like you, it's hard to ignore. Now, I'm not saying the way she brought it up was ideal. It wasn't the right moment, but let's be honest. For women, there's never a good moment for this. There's also another point to consider. She had a lot of difficulty getting pregnant. I'm not judging, but in a case like that, it's only natural for a small doubt to arise. Let's see what she decides to do.
Good for you. Fast forward to now, the test came back a week ago, and a surprise, surprise, she is his daughter. He had this look of relief before the guilt and panic hit him, and he started to apologize to me over and over again. I told him he needed to tell his mother and then tell her we needed a break from her. Surprisingly, he was all for it, and I could hear him yelling at her for making him doubt me and telling her we didn't want any contact for a while. Mark blocked her number after hanging up, so she started to call and text me. It switched from that she was sorry, and I was horrible for not seeing it from her point of view and taking away her family. I blocked her too, but some of his extended family has messaged both Mark and me calling us cold-hearted assholes for cutting mother-in-law out the way we have. Well, who do you think they have to deal with now? Come on. I have started to doubt my decision, thinking I was too harsh after being hurt. Maybe I made a mistake by distancing ourselves from mother-in-law. After all, she was just looking out for her only son. So, am I the astronaut? No. No, you're not. You're not the astronaut in any way, shape, or form here. Not even like could have, should have, done something different. Nope. You did everything right. Well, almost everything right. And I say right as in what I would do in your shoes, I would hope. And the only thing that I would change in the way that you responded here was it feels like you let him back in or off the hook real easy. Yes, you say we got to do couples counseling, but the test results come back and By the way, the in-between, taking the test and waiting on results, you guys just cohabitated like everything was hunky-dory. That's awkward. Test comes in, he sees it, he realizes he up big time, and you say, call your mom. And he does, but he's like, yeah, I'm on her side now. We're on the same team and everything's good. No, nothing's good, sir.
Oh, hell no!
I don't agree with his opinion because there are two sides to this. In this case, yes, the test confirmed that the child was his daughter. Everything turned out well for her. She is a good, serious woman, and this man was fortunate. But that doesn't take away his right to want to know the truth. It's true that his mother got involved in the relationship, but this was her only son. She saw that her granddaughter looked nothing like him, and honestly, any woman in her position would have had doubts too. What I do find unacceptable is this man's reaction toward his mother. She didn't force him to take the test. He decided to do it on his own. He could have ignored her if he truly trusted his wife. But now that he knows the truth, he wants to blame his mother and play the victim, as if he had been manipulated. As a man, that's just low. But let's move on and see how this concludes.
Because you just dug a hole to the other side of the world, and you got to start filling that hole a little bit at a time. That came out wrong. You know what I mean. He's got to dig himself out of that hole. That's why they don't say fill that hole. Dig yourself out of that hole. That's going to be a lot of work to undo the damage that he's done. And yes, therapy is going to be a big part of that, but I don't think I would give him the comfort or permission to start acting like we were a team right now. Nope, you are not on my team yet. You are on IR for a while, sir. We'll see if you come back week 17. But no, you are not the astronaut at all for this. It's interesting that she was so helpful, and then all of a sudden she had this thing where she just couldn't figure it out, which, you know, do a Google search, you bizzo. If you don't have enough knowledge about this topic, about why a child could look more like one parent than the other, and if it's the mother, is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. Do a Google search, or don't have an opinion on it. I can't understand how she went from being the perfect mother-in-law to all of a sudden having this twist. But she was never the perfect mother-in-law, and here's how we know. Because instead of having this conversation with you and being like, hey, I can't get this out of my head, and I just need you to like, just look me in the eye and talk to me and just put this to rest. I know this is a me problem, this is not you, but I've got this demon in my head that keeps saying this thing, and I need to know, like, I can't shut him up. I need you to shut him up for me. That honest and open conversation probably would have been awkward as hell. It might not have gone great, but it wouldn't have done nearly the damage that turning her son against you did. And it wouldn't have cost her the relationship with the both of you and her grandbaby. She f***ed up. You have every right to be angry.
Although I agree with a lot of what he says, this man is thinking rationally. But when it comes to these topics, women don't react with logic. Just mentioning a DNA test, even without having kids, can create conflict. The first thing they do is play the trust card. 32% of men who take a DNA test find out the child isn't theirs. And we're not talking about just any men. We're talking about married men who fully trusted their wives. That's why my recommendation will always be to take the test in secret. If the result is negative, that's when you confront her. But until that moment, no one needs to know. Unless you're one of those soft men who feel they need to consult their wife about everything. As for the mother, I do feel a bit sorry for her. She tried to protect her son and ended up being the loser. I understand that the daughter-in-law doesn't want anything to do with her, but for the son to cut her out of his life, when it was his own decision and not hers, is an act of cowardice. Besides, how will this relationship survive knowing he abandoned his own mother? In the heat of the moment, it might seem like the right choice, but in the long run, this will weigh heavily on both of them. Emotional men make stupid decisions. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. Do you think a man should inform his partner if he plans to take a DNA test? Or is it better to do it in secret to avoid unnecessary conflicts? Was it fair for the son to cut all ties with his mother after the DNA test? Or do you think he overreacted? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.